follow me on Instagram, my fiancé is Korean and he is currently doing his military service, which is mandatory for men there. It lasts 21 months and he started in June this year, so he's finishing in February 2020. People seem to be curious about that. In my story on Instagram, I'm asking if they would find it interesting if I made a video about what it's like to be your girlfriend and you're in the military and all of that.
Hey, too. I post for yes. Oh.
So I thought I might make a video explaining like how we deal with that situation and everything. So yeah, I'm gonna talk a little about my mindset, like how I prepared myself mentally before it started. Then about the logistics of the thing, so how we communicate, and yeah, basically just how we communicate. And then more like my feelings and thoughts about the situation. First of all, I knew what I was getting myself into from the very beginning. Like when I started realizing that I was getting a crush on him, I literally told myself, like, what are you doing? He's Korean and hasn't done his military service yet, so he's gonna have to leave for 2 years. But I didn't want that to stop me from like potentially finding the love of my life. So I still went for it and I'm glad I did. After we started dating, but only like 1 week after, we had a whole conversation about that. Like we both knew that we would eventually get into that situation, but he didn't have to leave for another 1.5 years, maybe even a little more than that. So we decided to just see how it goes. And yeah, we were thinking that 1.5 years is enough to know if it's worth waiting. We also had kind of like 2 practice tests. He went to Korea for 6 weeks to visit his family last summer. So that was the longest we had been apart at that point. No, not last summer, the one before. Yeah. And last winter, I spent 4 months in Paris to study, which you already know if you saw my other video. We got to see what it was like to be apart for quite a long time. And it was really less bad than we expected. So I think that really like reassured us before he left that we could do it and it wasn't that bad. Like it seems dramatic to us, but in Korea so many girls go through this because every man has to do that. We even heard from his friends that about half of the guys that his friend did his military service with were in a relationship, so they had girlfriends waiting for them. 20 months seems long right now because like it's how long we were together before he left, so it's half of our relationship. But compared to spending the rest of our lives together, like of course when we're 80 we're gonna look back and like it's gonna be nothing. Although so many Korean girls go through this, we do have one more obstacle than them, which is time zones. Not just time zones, but also that in the phones there in the army he can't call an international number, of course. So before he left we really like prepared everything to be sure we would be able to communicate. First of all, he found an application that allows me to have a Korean phone number for like $2 a month. So yeah, we have that app so that he can call me. And I also downloaded this countdown app, which is made specifically for girls who are waiting while their boyfriend is in the military. So I just use it so that I have like all the important dates of when he goes up in rank and everything. And it's really, you know, they break it into really small decimals so that you can really see the time going by. And it's actually really encouraging because like right now he's already like there's already a quarter done, like 25%, and it didn't seem that long, so it's really encouraging for the rest. He also put me in touch with one of his childhood friends so that if I won't news or like just to know which address I can send letters to, little information like that, he could give them to me. And then concretely, once he left, first he had 5 weeks of training that they all go through, and they're much more busy and they don't have any access to a computer or a phone. So that was the hardest part, I would say, because it was during the summer, so I was just at home doing nothing, and I really had no way of knowing how he was doing. But luckily there was a website made by the army where I could send messages to him. I was gonna say to any soldier, but I don't care about the other soldiers. So yeah, basically their superiors printed them out and gave them to the soldiers. So he couldn't answer me, but at least, like, I know it cheers him up when I tell him about little things that happened through my day. So I did that. Like every night I wrote a little bit about my day. So his only way of contacting me was handwritten letters. So yeah, see, it's the little logo of the army and everything. I think even the paper in that one, yeah, see, it's like with little soldiers, and it says Republic of Korea Army. Yeah, so I had letters, and one other thing that his friend did that I'm really grateful for is that in order for me to get the letters earlier, because if my boyfriend sent them directly to me, it would take 2 or 3 weeks. So in order for me to get them quicker, he sent them to his friend, who took pictures of every page and sent them to me. And his friend doesn't really understand English, so it wasn't embarrassing. So that way I managed to get them like 5 days after, and after that the friend still sent them to me, of course. So yeah, during the first 5 weeks, that's how we communicated. After that, normally they would start doing like their regular military service, but my boyfriend had 5 more weeks of training because he wanted to be a driver, and he got assigned to like big vehicles, like basically trucks, I think. Like I never saw them, it's just they were the biggest vehicles that the army had. So in order to learn to drive that, he needed 5 weeks of training. So he was moved to a different base for that specific training. And in that base, they didn't have the internet letters thing. And there was supposed to be an app where I could send and receive messages, I think, from him. But it was impossible to download the app in the Canadian App Store. Like, it could only be downloaded from Korea. So that was the moment when I was really like scared and frustrated and everything. But he ended up managing to call me on the phone maybe like once a week. And also over there, the guy next to him in his dorm had a girlfriend who was an English teacher, so she speaks English very well, and they're both really sweet. So basically his girlfriend and I got in touch so she could also keep me updated. Like, she got to talk to her boyfriend more often than I did with Juno because of the time zones. So if there was something important, like, he could tell Dongi to tell Esther, and then yeah, I just feel so lucky and grateful that that coincidence happened, because yeah, like, we're probably gonna stay friends, and when I go to Korea we're gonna do double dates and everything. So I'm really excited and grateful, so grateful. Oh yeah, and between the first 5 weeks of training and the second 5 weeks of training, he had a weekend off and we got to do a video call, which was really nice because yeah, at that point I hadn't heard his voice in 5 weeks. After the second 5 weeks of training, he went to his permanent base that he's gonna work at until the end. In this new base, he has more time to call me, and also since I'm here, the time zone difference is cut in two, so it's easier. I'm a little scared about when I'm gonna go back to Canada and have 13 hours difference again instead of 7. But yeah, basically thanks to this and thanks to the fact that he's less busy, he can call me on the phone like I would say 3 to 5 times a week, and we can talk for like, sometimes it's just 5 or 10 minutes and sometimes we have a whole hour. There are also video call booths, but that one costs money per minute, so we don't do it every day, but I would say once every 2 weeks or 3. But still, yeah, it's really nice to see his face, see his smile and everything. There is also a computer room in this base, so he can talk to me on Messenger sometimes. That's nice because I can like show him pictures or videos, which I couldn't until now. I'm very grateful for technology in our situation, because for example there was a whole ceremony for his entrance in the military, and then another one when he went up in, like when he completed the training, and his family did a video call so that they could show me. So although I was at the other end of the world, I was able to see those important moments. So yeah, that's it for the communication part. Then about how I feel about this. You know, when you're together for several days in a row, then you miss them more quickly after. Well, that's how it works too. Like I wouldn't say I miss him less than in the beginning, but it's less painful, you know. I don't feel it like, oh my god, he's away, I miss him. It's just, yeah, I got used to him being away. Even on the plane on the way here, there was a couple about our age next to me, and they were so affectionate, and it really hit me like, wow, I forgot about that part of a relationship. I realized I basically forgot about physical affection, and at that moment it hurt, because I was like, oh my god, I can't even remember like how his hug feels, or like I can try to remember, and then if I remember it just hurts more. Since then, at some point in the past few months, I was binge watching Korean dramas to practice Korean. So then of course it was just like love story after love story, and cute dates and first kisses and everything. So in the beginning it really hurt, because it reminded me of what I couldn't have right now. But then I turned this into more like I made a bucket list from those shows, and I started being able to imagine it in a pleasant way, like imagining that I'm the female character and that he's a male character, and just enjoying that, instead of just thinking I don't have that and I used to have it but I don't have it now. But you know, before I was with him, I was single and happy, and I didn't feel like there was a void in my life that needed to be filled by a partner. So why wouldn't I be able to be happy when he's away? Like basically I can just live almost as when I was single, so just concentrating on school and work and my activities and my friends, and there's not like a hole in my heart that he filled. It's just, you know, he made me happier, but I don't need him. The first time I told him that, he was a little taken aback, which I understand, but then I explained that I don't need you. I'm not with you because I need to be with someone. I'm with you because I chose you, because you make me happy in a way that no one else does. So yeah, now that he's gone, Like, sure, I miss his kisses, but I don't miss kisses in general. So I have absolutely no interest in cheating on him, and he knows that. One thing that's frustrating is that I really don't understand much about the army. Like, it's a reality that's so far from us here, and plus it's like there's a lot of technical terms, and he doesn't necessarily know the translation, and like even if he says them in English, I don't know, because I just don't know much about the army in general. It's really not my world. So that's frustrating sometimes, because I wish I could know and understand better like the whole context that he's spending almost 2 years in. So that's it. I think I answered the most frequently asked questions. If you have any more questions, you can ask me. I'll be happy to answer. In conclusion, it's not that bad. We just live like one day at a time, and it's not like we have a choice. Like, it would hurt me more to break up with him than it hurts me to be away from him. So like, that's not even an option in my mind. It's just like, okay, well, this is something that we have to go through, and that's it. Like, it's not a permanent problem, it's just a moment of our lives. So yeah, I just take it one day at a time.
Yeah, but I couldn't find the 안녕.
안녕하세요.
잘 지냈어? 아, 인사드려 다. 있어.
안녕하세요.
와. Is someone who I teach English?
아니야.
Say something. You so pretty.
Thank you.
You're pretty, just only pretty. You know? Pretty. Okay? Okay.